So you're thinking about moving to Beaverton, Oregon, and you're curious, what are the things that people really like about Beaverton, and what are the things that people could really do without? What are the cons? Today we're going to explore the pros and the cons, everything that you need to know to make a smooth move to Beaverton, Oregon, and it all starts right now. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it is your first time. My name is Jared, and as much as I enjoy making these videos, more than anything, I love helping people out with the buying and selling process as a licensed real estate agent here in the state of Oregon. And if I can be of any assistance to you in any way, I would love to get in touch. My info is right here. And if you're enjoying this channel and would like to share it with someone else, or at least stay up to date with new videos and other things that I'll be putting out, I would love to invite you to like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing. So with that, let's go and talk about the pros and cons of living in Beaverton, Oregon. So the very first pro has got to be Beaverton's proximity to Portland. It's extremely close. It's that first stop on the way out of Portland. It maybe takes under 10 minutes to get into Beaverton proper from Portland's downtown. That's without any sort of traffic issues. And then of course getting into Portland is very easy if you're living in Beaverton. Now Beaverton is kind of tall, running north to south, and it goes out a couple miles as you get towards Hillsboro. So depending on where you are in Beaverton is going to adjust your commute by say 10 to 15 minutes. But say you live towards the north and towards the west, your ability to get into Portland without any traffic or with minimal traffic issues, it really makes getting into Portland really easy. So if you are somebody who's looking to enjoy everything that Portland has to offer, from its great parks to entertainment to sports games like the Blazers or the Timbers, or you want to get into Portland for great food, living in Beaverton allows you to get into Portland very, very quickly. And if you travel a lot, Beaverton is a great spot when it comes to living on the west side, having the kind of the best of both worlds, where you can get over to the airport pretty easly and without much time, always depending on traffic, but then you could also live on the west side and enjoy everything that Beaverton and living on the west side has to offer. All right, the second pro for living in Beaverton is the neighborhood and lifestyle. So by neighborhoods, I mean the diversity of neighborhoods and the different areas that you can live in Beaverton. Beaverton is not one monolith of just one style of living. While it is heavily more, suburban, single-family homes, there are plenty of a little bit more urban communities or apartment and condo communities that have been emerging that make living in Beaverton, very diverse as far as the lifestyle you want to live. While it is a little bit more of a commuter town, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, to live in Beaverton means that you've got a lot of different options, whether it's one-story, 1,000 square foot ranch-style homes, or if you're looking for something that's 4 or 5 bedroom, multi-story, in a quiet neighborhood tucked away, 2,500, 3,000 square feet. You can really find it all in Beaverton. It's not really just one style of living out here. There are areas that are closer to maybe the more of the Beaverton downtown core that can feel just as urban as living in certain areas of Portland. But then of course, if you're looking for a place with a yard, a place with space, a place with enough room for the whole family, maybe multiple living rooms, you're going to be able to find honestly whatever you need in Beaverton. The third pro of living in Beaverton is the suburban lifestyle with the big city attractions. So ever since, say, 2020 or so, there's been a huge draw to living in the suburbs because so many people are working from home. The need to go to the downtown core for work has become less and less. And as a result, people are coming into the city just a little bit less. At least a lot of the commuters that would have maybe seen a restaurant and said, hey, let's bring the family in, they're more drawn to staying in the suburbs. A lot of the people in Portland have noticed and have started to open up great restaurants in the suburbs. Some examples that I think of are, say, Salt and Straw, which is a premier ice cream shop that has over 2,000 employees, and they have scores of different stores around the country. They've got places in Disneyland. Well, they started here in Portland, and they're excellent and they're beloved, and they have a shop on the west side over in the Cedar Hills area, which is a really cool sign of just how they see an investment on the west side, and it's not just about being in Portland anymore. I think they even have a location in like Oswego and a couple of other areas. But that's just one example of many of different restaurants that have been making their way over into Beaverton, along with different stores and shops. There's this attraction to being in Beaverton, and since Beaverton is so close to Portland, it's kind of that first logical stop of bringing all the good things in the city of Portland and bringing them out to the suburbs. All right, our fourth pro on this list is Beaverton's proximity to highways. So Highway 26 is one that as you get out of Portland, it runs across kind of the north end of Washington County, and below it, it kind of goes through, but it's kind of sitting to the north of the majority of Beaverton and Hillsboro. And as a result, you've got Highway 26 there that can easily get you into Portland, easily get you out towards the west side, towards the coast. But then Beaverton's also special, and that is also where Highway 217 starts. And Highway 217 is a 7-mile highway that starts from Highway 26 just as you're getting down the hill from Portland. You take it south, it'll take you all the way to Tigard and connect you up with Interstate 5 going south. And Beaverton is one of the only suburbs that really has a major freeway kind of almost exclusively to itself. And they just did a major project on it where they widened a bunch of lanes, created some auxiliary lanes, and some extra, more efficient on-ramps and off-ramps, which has made traveling, especially southward, traveling on 217 feels like you're on, any major freeway. It's a state freeway, but it feels like an interstate. It's huge and it's efficient. It still deals with traffic issues, but it's a lot better than it was. And so living in Beaverton gives you that quick proximity to highways. All right, and our final pro of living in Beaverton, Oregon is it is the home to Nike Incorporated. Nike World Headquarters has been out here since the late 1980s. The World Campus is huge and sprawling kind of on the north end of Beaverton, pretty close to Highway 26. And this is a huge advantage if you're going to be working at Nike or you work with Nike, you're adjacent to it in some way. So if you're living in Beaverton, you're very close to where work is happening. Tens of thousands of people work there, and they come from all over the world, they come from all over the country, and that greatly affects what it's like to live in Beaverton. You have so many people bringing their experiences, their culture, their languages, and also they're bringing that competitive edge and everything that Nike is known for and attracts. And so that really affects what it's like to live in Beaverton, I think, in a really positive way. And so with that, there's also the Nike employee store. If you know somebody, they typically get a certain amount of passes to the employee store per month. And if you are connected, if you're just able to make that connection, which honestly, maybe your neighbor works there, it's always a fun spot to get to go. And it's just, it's right in Beaverton. It's right here. All right, that's it for the pros, but we're always going to be honest with you about what we think the cons are of living in Beaverton. And so the very first one, the very first con of living in Beaverton, I would say, is the density. So when you think of a suburb, you're thinking of kind of, big avenues and sprawling subdivisions, and for some people that can be a con, but for Beaverton, that's a big positive. That's something that people like to move out here for. But as a result of all the growth, Beaverton does have a density that sometimes makes getting from one end of town in Beaverton to the other, it can take 15, 20, or even more minutes if you're not connected to a highway that's going to, quickly shoot you up north to south or east to west. So for example, if you're more in the southwest portion of Beaverton, or if you're out towards Sexton Mountain, you're getting more towards wine country in the hills, it can take, 10, 15 minutes to kind of get to a main thoroughfare or highway. So then you can begin your journey. And so the density can be an issue for some, but for some, it's, the fact that you are further out away from things and it takes a little while to get places. Maybe you're commuting from home or you work from home, or that's something that you actually don't mind for the sake of the schools, for the sake of the community and the lifestyle. The density is not. The second con of living in Beaverton is probably the traffic. Kind of relates to the one I just talked about. So you do have Highway 217, which has been improved a little bit, but it can get snarled, and same with Highway 26. And then you have some main thoroughfares running north to south. You have 185th that goes north to south. You have Murray that goes north to south. And because there aren't any major freeways beyond 217 as you go towards the west, it does mean that these main thoroughfares can get kind of snarled at certain times. And since they are, no more than 45 miles an hour, they have a lot of stoplights, they're connected to a lot of neighborhoods, it can sometimes mean going north to south can get a little snarled at times. It just depends on what time of day you're out. But a con can be that the traffic out here can sometimes feel a little bit busier than you think. Another con for some people when it comes to living in Beaverton is that it is a very car dependent town. So there are a lot of public transportation options like the MAX train. We've got a good bus system. But if you're in Portland, there's also a lot of bike lanes. There's a lot of pedestrian friendly areas. Where in Beaverton, it's very much like the suburbs. You're probably going to be more reliant on a car than you would be with public transportation. If you need it, it's there. It's just a little bit more selected, and you're going to want to live closer to the roads and main thoroughfares that have it. Because once you're in a lot of these neighborhoods, they either get really hilly or they're just kind of out of reach of the immediate usability of public transit. You're going to have to walk a ways, or you're going to have to drive a car to a spot and then get on public transit. That's kind of the nature of living out in the burbs, but for some people, having more access to public transportation and not being as car dependent would maybe draw you away from being in Beaverton. Another con of living in Beaverton, Oregon is that there is a little bit of a lack of older homes. So Beaverton was a small farming town kind of at the end of the 19th century, and it was out there all by its lonesome. It was connected by Canyon Road, and that was pretty much it. Portland was the main draw, and Portland was still a small town, and then Beaverton was even smaller. Well, as it grew up over the years, it wasn't really until, say, the 70s and 80s that it really went off. Kind of the secret was out. People wanted to move out here. Intel and tech were really making their claim. Nike was growing, and as a result, you had a huge amount of growth over those 50 years, especially in the 90s with the tech boom. And as a result, you have a lot of homes that are maybe 50 years old and newer. And on one hand, that's great for maintenance or even just modern living. But if you're looking for homes with character, they're really few and far between out here. Towards Beaverton Central, you will totally find homes that may be from the 1930s, 20s, 1910s. To find anything, honestly, in the state of Oregon that is from the 1800s is usually rare. But that's, when you're looking for maybe older craftsmen, you're going to really need to go into Portland for those. Those are a dime a dozen. They are everywhere out there, and they're wonderful, beautiful homes. A lot of them might need a lot of upkeep or updates. But out here in Beaverton, if you're looking for older homes, they're going to be a little bit more few and far between. And finally, our last con of living in Beaverton is the developing downtown. Now, on a positive note, the downtown is making huge investments with walkability, kind of connecting the north and south end of downtown to get across these highways that cut through the middle. But as far as like having a core downtown to Beaverton, it's still underway. And so while there's a lot going on, and I do think that it is worth checking out, there are elements to downtown Beaverton that still have a little bit of a ways to go before it is maybe this central hub that everybody is drawn to. There are also plenty of other shopping areas and other kind of centralized community areas throughout Beaverton, say Cedar Hills Crossing or Progress Ridge down towards the south, or even Murray Hill. These are great little hubs. They're a little bit more suburbanized. But as far as having a central downtown, Beaverton is on its way, but it's not quite there yet. And so if you're looking for something that has a little bit more of a smaller town feel, or at least something that's more established, Beaverton is making big strides, and it's making big investments. And so getting here right now is a really cool time to be able to see that development. But if you're looking for that to be established, Beaverton is still under construction. All right, that's the pros and cons list for Beaverton, Oregon. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else I should have talked about, or maybe something that's a pro you thought was a con, or a con you thought was a pro? Put it down in the comments below. I would love to read them. And like I said earlier, I am a licensed real estate agent here in the state of Oregon, and more than anything, I love helping people with the buying and selling process. And so if I can be of any assistance to you, would love to hear from you. My info is right here. Shoot me a message or schedule a time with me, and I would love to connect. And so with that, thank you for watching the video. Please remember to like, subscribe, tap the bell for notifications so you don't miss any updates. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until then, I'm out.